Hi there! Welcome back to our channel where we share engaging stories to improve your English. Today's story is about Sarah and David, a story of love, heartbreak, and a surprising reunion. It's filled with emotions and lessons about life, patience, and forgiveness. So, grab a cup of tea, relax, and let's dive in. Sarah was a cheerful young woman in her early 20s. She lived in a small, peaceful town surrounded by lush green hills and beautiful meadows. Sarah worked at the town's bakery, which was famous for its delicious bread and sweet pastries. Every morning, she would wake up early, tie her apron, and head to the bakery with a smile on her face. The bakery was not just a workplace for Sarah, it was where she felt alive. She loved greeting the customers, hearing their stories, and brightening their mornings with warm croissants and hot coffee. Among her customers was David, a kind and soft-spoken man who had recently moved to town. David came to the bakery every morning after his trip to the library. He was tall, with deep brown eyes and an easygoing smile that made him instantly likable. He always ordered the same thing, a cup of coffee and a chocolate croissant. Over time, Sarah and David began to talk. First, it was just small talk about the weather or the town. But soon, their conversations became longer and deeper. David loved books and had a passion for history, while Sarah enjoyed stories about love and adventure. They would often share their favorite books and talk about their dreams. David wanted to write a novel someday, and Sarah dreamed of traveling the world. One day, after weeks of morning chats, David surprised Sarah by asking, "Would you like to go for a walk by the river after work?" Sarah's cheeks turned pink, and she nodded. "I'd love to." That evening, as they walked by the gentle flowing river, David looked at Sarah and said, "You're the most amazing person I've ever met. I feel like I can talk to you about anything." Sarah smiled shyly. "I feel the same way, David." It was the beginning of something beautiful. For months, Sarah and David spent almost every day together. They went for walks, visited bookstores, and shared their dreams under the stars. Life felt perfect. But sometimes, perfect moments don't last forever. One quiet morning, David came into the bakery, but his usual smile was missing. Sarah immediately noticed something was wrong. "David, is everything okay?" she asked, concerned. He hesitated before saying, "Sarah, I have something to tell you. I've been offered a job in another city. It's a big opportunity for me, but it means I have to leave tomorrow." Sarah's heart sank. "Tomorrow," she whispered, her voice trembling. "That's so soon." David nodded. "I didn't plan for this, but it's something I can't turn down. It could change my life." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. "And what about us?" David reached for her hand. "I don't want to lose you, Sarah. Please wait for me. I promise I'll come back." Sarah wanted to believe him. She held his hand tightly and said, "I'll wait, David. No matter how long it takes." The next day, David left, and Sarah watched as his car disappeared down the road. She felt like a part of her heart had gone with him. At first, Sarah tried to stay positive. She wrote letters to David, sharing stories about her days at the bakery and the little moments that made her smile. She waited eagerly for his replies, but they never came. She called him several times, but he rarely answered. When he did, his responses were brief and distant. Slowly, Sarah began to feel the distance between them grow, not just physically but emotionally. Her friends noticed her sadness and tried to comfort her. "Maybe he's busy," one friend suggested. "Or maybe you should move on," another said. But Sarah couldn't let go. She held on to the hope that David would keep his promise. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Eventually, the letters stopped, and the calls stopped too. Sarah's bright smile faded, and the bakery didn't feel as warm as it once did. She missed David's laughter and the way he made her feel special. She felt like she was living in a shadow of what used to be. 2 years passed. Life in the small town went on as usual, but for Sarah, every day felt like a quiet ache. She had tried to move on, but a part of her still wondered about David. One rainy evening, as Sarah was closing the bakery, she heard a voice behind her. "Sarah," the voice said softly. She turned around, and there he was, David, standing in the rain, holding a bouquet of flowers. He looked older, his eyes filled with a mix of regret and hope. "David," she whispered, her voice trembling. He took a step closer. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I had to see you. I've thought about you every day, and I realized I made a mistake leaving without staying in touch." Tears streamed down Sarah's face as she listened. "You left me waiting so long, David. I wrote to you, I called you, but you never answered." David lowered his head. "I know, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life. But I'm here now, and I want to make things right. Will you give me another chance?" Sarah's heart was conflicted. She had waited so long for this moment, but it wasn't how she imagined it. She took a deep breath and said, "David, you hurt me. But maybe we can try again." Rebuilding their relationship wasn't easy. Sarah had doubts, and David had to work hard to prove he was sincere. He showed up every day, helping at the bakery, bringing her favorite books, and reminding her of the love they once shared. Slowly, Sarah began to trust him again. They started spending time together, just like they used to. One evening, as they walked by the river where they had their first date, David stopped and said, "Sarah, I want to spend the rest of my life making you happy. Will you let me?" Sarah smiled through her tears. "Only if you promise never to leave again." David held her close. "I promise." Months turned into years, and Sarah and David built a life together filled with love and laughter. They traveled to places Sarah had always dreamed of visiting, and David finally published his novel. The bakery became a symbol of their journey, a place where their love story began, faced challenges, and found its way back. Every morning, as they worked side by side, Sarah would look at David and feel grateful for the second chance they were given. And that's the story of Sarah and David, a journey of love, patience, and forgiveness. Sometimes, life takes us on unexpected paths, but if we hold on to hope, beautiful things can happen. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends.